guys. Today I'll be talking about the small references in the fairly new Netflix series Kingdom that only Koreans would have got. I recently rewatched the whole series. Rewatching it made me see all these like small details that I thought like non-Koreans and all like these people with no knowledge of Korean history or culture would not have got. So I will point those few pointers out to you. Like I won't be telling you like specific storylines or anything, but do keep in mind, spoiler alert, because I will be covering all 6 episodes, and if you haven't watched, you should really go and check it out because I really loved it and I can't wait for the second series to come out. So yes, I warned you guys, spoiler alert. Okay, so the first one, I don't remember which episode it was, but on that episode where they're fleeing to Sangju from Dongnae and they're on the boat, like the privileged are on the boat, and you see the 부사관 person and then his secretary eating something on the boat at night, and that is actually they're eating 곶감, and 곶감 is pretty much just dried persimmons. So what you do is like when you get your persimmons, get the skin off and then you hang it up so it dries in natural air, and like after a bit, like in the winter, it's all dried up and it's kind of like jelly, and it's really sweet because all the waters come out, so it's like concentrated sweetness right there. It's really good. And I found this really funny because they were going to Sangju and they were eating 곶감. Sangju happens to be the city famous for 곶감. So Korea has this thing, like some cities associated with their specialty food. So like, for example, like 통영, like the province of 통영, the city 통영 is associated with 굴, like oysters. And like, I don't know, Cheongsong is associated with apples, like they're known for their apples, and Sangju is known for their 곶감. So I don't know if this was like on purpose, like on the part of the producers to place this scene where they're eating 곶감, but then I thought it was really funny how they were eating 곶감 while going to Sangju, who like a city known for 곶감. The second thing that I picked up was in the first episode, you see the scene of the crown prince signing this paper, this contract, saying that he will be a part of the revolution and overthrow the government that, well, not the king, overthrow the king that, like his father. And you see how the signatures are in a circular shape. Well, it's not unique to Korea. There is a French version of this called the round robin documents, but I thought this was a like funny catch because we learned this in like history class, and it's called a 사발통문. So pretty much what it is, it's like 사발 in Korean. It's like it's a bowl. So they would put that on top of the paper as like the center of this circle shape, and then they would write their names around that bowl in a circle. And this was used because like mostly in later Joseon where there were like so many revolts coming up, and the reason why it's in a circle, they signed in a circle, was because they didn't want if their revolt or coup were to fail and their paper were to be found by those people who like of the original government, it was so that the people finding it wouldn't know who started it. So if it's in a circle, there's really no centric place where they can say, oh, this person started it. So that's why they put it in a circle. The third, well, it's actually the last pointer, but it's like the longest part, pointer is about the wars that they mention in the drama. Kingdom is based off of Choseon dynasty, but it's not set in a specific time period in Choseon. I mean, because, you know, zombies and everything. So here it's based, like, it's in an alternative Choseon where it's like Choseon but then the kings aren't the same. So, but they do make quite a few references to the so-called 전란, it means war, and I think that it's a reference to 임진왜란, which is a war that happened with the Japanese in 1592 and on for a few more years. It's in episode 1 where they're the Lord Cho, played by Yoo Seung-ryung, is having a meeting with all the other like lords and political figures. He talks about how there were 2 wars, and I think this is a reference to how the 임진왜란 was directly followed by 정유재란. 정유재란 was also a war that happened, like 제 means again, in the year Cheongyu. I think it was a reference to that and how those two wars, it was pretty much like same thing where like the same Japanese people invaded again after 임진왜란 in like such a short time period. And when Koreans say 임진왜란, we kind of refer to the whole war of like both 임진왜란 and 정유재란. Anyways, so I think that was referring to that. And then he also goes on to mention how all the Yurim, the Confucius students, scholars, did nothing to prevent it. And I think this is a reference to how one of Korea's most famous scholars, his name's Yulgogi. He is the figure that is on the back of our Korea's 5,001 bill. And he came up with this idea called, well, suggestion actually, called, what's it called? 십만양병설, which means that the Chosun dynasty should bring up 100,000 soldiers in preparation for a war, because he sensed that like Japan was getting stronger and they were building soldiers and so on and so forth. But you actually see it in the kingdom, like in this one episode where all these like high up privileged people are like, oh, why should I bear a weapon with these hands that should be reading a book? Like that was kind of the mentality that all the Yangbang class, like the higher up, socially higher up people had. So when they heard this, that we should bring up soldiers, they were like, what? No, we shouldn't do that. As a Confucius society, they treated violence and like soldiers as a lower class thing to do, so they didn't do that. But unfortunately, Yulgogi was right, and Japan did invade Joseon, and resulting in this horrible war. The Lord Cho mentioning how the Confucius scholars did nothing might be referring to this event of Yulgogi suggesting to bring up soldiers, but it was put down by the Confucius scholars. And lastly, in episode 4, when some of the lords are talking about the signal fire being lit, and they're like, they directly mention, is it the Japanese again? And then they say again that, what if they come into Hanyang all over again? So this is a reference to how, like, you know, Japan being on the southern side of Korea, they came through Busan, and that 동래 is in Gyeongsang-do, close to Busan. So they came through Busan, and they're referring to like, oh, is it happening again? When Japanese were invading, they came right up to Hanyang, which was the capital city. Well, it's Seoul pretty much of today, as the capital city of Joseon, without hardship. So they directly referenced that in that episode. And then, just like on a side note again, 임진왜란 was one of like the wars where one of Korea's most famous general was in action, and he is 이순신 장군. Like if you don't know who he is, if you've ever been to Korea, and to Gwanghwamun Square, there are two statues. One is of King Sejongdaewang, who invented and created Korean characters, Hangul, and then the other one is 이순신 장군. That's like how big he is, and he is also the face of the 101 coin in Korea. And if you want to look more into him, I suggest you watch the movie Myeongnang, Roaring Currents, and it's based on one of his most famous battles, Myeongnang Dechap, and I suggest you go check that out too. That is all the small references that I found in Kingdom that I thought that only Koreans would have gotten. Hope you guys liked this video, and if I did leave some things out, please do let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any other series you would like me to cover in this style, also do let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!